You're reading? I got it. o'er spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea, America, America, America. Good morning, friends. Everybody brush through your hair one last time and then forget it. Your Peoria Municipal Band's next piece is probably familiar to you if you saw the movie Saving Private Ryan. The music is by the great composer and conductor John Williams, Hymn to the Fallen. With proud thanksgiving, a mother for her children, the country mourns for her dead across the sea. Flesh of her flesh they were, spirit of her spirit, fallen in the cause of the free. Solemn the drums thrill, death august and royal sings sorrow up into immortal spheres. There is music in the midst of desolation, and a glory that shines upon our tears. They went with songs into the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. They mingle not with their laughing comrades again. They sit no more at familiar tables of home. They have no lot in our labor of the daytime. They sleep beyond the country's foam. But where our desires are and our hopes profound, felt as a wellspring that is hidden from sight, to the innermost heart of their own land they are known as the stars are known to the night. As the stars that shall be bright when we are dust, moving in marches upon the heavenly plain, as the stars that are starry in the time of our darkness, to the end, they remain.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. Let me do one thing here. We had one clip fall off. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome each one of you here today. And after 2 years of being virtual, it is only right and good that we be back in person for this most important of ceremonies. I know I speak for my fellow council members when I say that we have missed this opportunity more than any. We were able to do a lot of events throughout the year, but none holds more sacred an honor to be in this group at this gathering during this Remembrance Ceremony, because this is what allows everybody in public service to be able to do what we do each day. It is for those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice that give us the opportunity to be able to serve you, and it keeps our democracy strong. I would now like to start today's ceremony by calling up American Legion member Carol Edwards to sound the bugle to assemble. Thank you. And please help me welcome 7th grade student from Lindbergh, our very own Sam Riggenbach, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if everybody will stand in body or spirit, and please face the flag that is on the Gateway building.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sam. And if you will please stay standing and facing the flag, our band will lead us in the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
And with that, my first order of business is to take the opportunity, and please help me do with one more round of applause, to thank the Peoria Municipal Band, Mr. Wenger, and Dr. Vroman for setting the tone for today's festivities. And please remain standing as we call upon Catholic Diocese of Peoria's Bishop Lou Tilka to offer the invocation. Bishop Lou.
And let us pray. Almighty God, our nation pauses this Memorial Day remembering all who valiantly gave themselves to the causes of freedom and justice and who made the ultimate sacrifice. As we honor them, we pray that they rest in your peace. May they and their families know the gratitude of the nation they served. May the blood that they shed upon this and many other lands not be in vain. May their sacrifice inspire us and future generations to remain committed to building a just society and instilling freedom around the world. It is only in you, dear Lord, that we may come to know true and lasting peace. Therefore we pray, that all people may grow in an understanding of our common bonds, which bind us together as one people. Increase within us the willingness to work diligently each day, ensuring our principles of liberty and justice for all. God of mercy, as we honor our fallen brothers and sisters, show us the path to follow, where war and violence are discarded to the dustbin of history, and a world free from fear may be established. It is in this noble pursuit that we will truly honor the sacrifices of so many of our brave brothers and sisters. God of peace, God of justice, God of mercy, send forth your blessing upon us today. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop. The mayor, and please be seated. Peoria's Mayor Ali was unable to be with us today, but she wanted to let each and every one of you know that she was with us in thought and spirit, and she has given me a proclamation to read from her desk in honor of today's events and to make for sure that you also know that she is here with us. The Office of the Mayor from the City of Peoria proclamation. Whereas on Memorial Day, we pause to honor the fallen heroes who've died in service in our nation. And whereas in times of war and conflict, the members of the United States military have fought and died to defeat tyranny and protect our way of life, fulfilling their responsibilities with dedication, courage, and distinction. And whereas answering the call to help preserve the peace and promote freedom has claimed the lives of many Peorians who have served our country heroically. And whereas we gather today in eternal gratitude and solemn reflection in honor of these extraordinary Americans, I encourage all Peorians to take time on this special day of remembrance to recognize those Americans whose sacrifices help strengthen our nation and improve the quality of life for people around the world. Now, therefore, I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby acknowledge May 30th, 2022 as Memorial Day in Peoria, Illinois, dated this 30th day of May, 2022. Let's give her a round of applause. The band will now play the Armed Forces Salute. As you hear the song of your particular branch of service, please stand and be recognized. To all of those now serving our great country in her present hour of need, we say thank you, and may our God be with you each and every day. To those that have just recently returned home, we also say thank you, and with great gratitude, we say welcome home.
Service Anthem of the United States Maritime Service, also known as the Merchant Marine. If you are or were a Merchant Marine member, please rise. play the Coast Guard anthem. And if you are or were a member of the Coast Guard, please rise and let us thank you for your service. Coast Guard, if any, please rise. Leathernecks, it's your turn. Current or former members of the Marines, please rise. Marine family. Marines, please be seated. Now, if you flew, Air Force, please rise. Thank you, Air Force. Please be seated. We come now to the 7 C's. If you are or were a member of the Navy and served there, please rise and let us thank you for your service. Anchors away, Navy. Please rise. Anchors away. Navy families. Thank you to all our service people and families. Please be seated.
For each of you that was recognized and for those family members as well, thank you for your service. I have to have noted that there are some faces that were missing this year after coming together for the first time after a 2-year absence of being able to be gathered. So let's take a moment to remember those who have not been here to be able to rejoin with us, who during that song have always stood and have always been part of that group. Thank you. And as always, we're very honored to have the Peoria Municipal Band under the direction of Dr. David Vroman and vocalist Mr. Lee Wenger, and how they have again been able to enliven and to be able to bring the right spirit and tone to this ceremony. I would like to say a few words. I would like to say a few words about the history of Memorial Day, which truly is an Illinois holiday. It was a Civil War general, General John A. Logan, a proud native of Illinois, who authored a memorial order dated in the year 1868, officially proclaiming Memorial Day as a national day of observance to be celebrated each and every year. The graves of those whose lives have been taken in service to our country were to be consecrated and decorated so that each generation would always remember their sacrifice. As Americans, we understand the cost of living in a free and undivided republic. We believe General Logan would be pleased with the local cemeteries and how they are helping keep this observance in our hearts. And he would also be pleased by this gathering. And let now our program go forward. Please welcome to the microphone a Peoria Notre Dame student, Bobby Morris, as he reads the origins of the poppy as a remembrance symbol, followed by the poem, Flanders Field.
The Remembrance Day symbolism of the poppy started with the poem written. The Remembrance Day symbolism of the poppy started with the poem written by a World War I brigade surgeon who was struck by the sight of the red flowers growing on a ravaged battlefield. From 1914 to 1918, World War I took a greater human toll than any previous conflict, with some 8.5 million soldiers dead of battlefield injuries or disease. The Great War, as it was then known, also ravaged the landscape of Western Europe, where most of the fiercest fighting took place. From the devastated landscape of the battlefields, the red poppy would grow, and thanks to a famous poem, became a powerful symbol of remembrance. Across northern France and Flanders, northern Belgium, the brutal clashes between Allied and Central powers tore up fields and forests, tearing up trees and plants and wreaking havoc on the soil beneath. But in the warm early spring of 1915, bright red flowers began peeking through the battle-scarred land. Papaver Roes, known variously as the Flanders poppy, corn poppy, red poppy, and corn rose. As Chris McNabb, author of the Book of the Poppy, wrote in an excerpt published in The Independent, the brilliantly colored flower is actually classified as a weed, which makes sense given its tenacious nature. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, a Canadian who served as a brigade surgeon for an Allied artillery unit, spotted a cluster of poppies that spring, shortly after the Second Battle of Ypres. McCrae tended to the wounded and got a first-hand look at the carnage of that clash, in which the Germans unleashed lethal chlorine gas for the first time in the war. Some 87,000 Allied soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing in the battle, as well as 37,000 on the German side. A friend of McCrae's, Lieutenant Alexis Helmer, was among the dead. Struck by the sight of bright red blooms on a broken battlefield, McCrae wrote a poem, In Flanders Field, in which he channeled the voice of the fallen soldiers buried under those hardy poppies. Published in Punch magazine in late 1915, the poem would be used at countless memorial ceremonies and became one of the most famous works of art to emerge from the Great War. Its fame has spread far and wide by the time McCrae himself died from pneumonia and meningitis in January of 1918, and now the poem In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, with failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep through poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Thank you.
Today is about recognizing and remembering all those that we have lost as we keep our democracy free, not only here, but around the world. But with each one of those losses, there is a family that is left behind. And it is this Gold Star families that we should and we must make sure that they know we have never forgotten their sacrifice, their hero, or what it means to each and every one of us. I'd like to be able to recognize the Gold Star families that are with us today. If you could and would feel, we would like for you to stand up so that we could recognize your contribution to our democracy. Thank you. And may you know and may you feel that each and every day of the calendar, some of those may be special days in the life of your family, and some of those days may just be a normal day that you wake up and remember your hero. May you feel our hearts and our thoughts with you always. We would now like to make a presentation near our grassy memorial plot. And at this time, we will call on council members to be able to read and escort as we place wreaths and baskets in honor of those that we today remember. These moments are sacred to us as we think more personally about how to honor our war dead. And during this time, we will reflect upon America's various wars and conflicts, and we will honor those whose lives were taken by the placing of the flowers and of the wreaths in their memory. I would first like to call up Past Commander Davies to be able to present our first reading and our first.
Revolutionary War, War of 1812, Civil War, Mexican and the American War. Reflections of the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, our war, our Civil War, the Mexican-American War, and the Spanish-American War. The founding fathers of our great country decided that taxation without representation was wrong, and they fought our great Revolutionary War for the right of self-determination. Later in the history of our great country, more of our forefathers fought our great Civil War to uphold part of the Constitution that states all men are created equal and have the same rights. Somewhat later in our history, more of our forefathers fought a border war to maintain a prior agreed upon borderline of our southern states. Great men gave their lives in these wars that are now called our wars, and it is fitting and proper that we acknowledge the sacrifices they all endured. It is a privilege for me, and on behalf of all the citizens of our great city, to escort these ladies, the Peoria chapter of our Daughters of the American Revolution, and Councilman, I'm sorry about that, Sid Ruckriegel, and place these baskets of flowers in memory of those who gave their lives in these wars that shaped our great country for our future place in the world, starting some 225 years ago. May these souls rest in peace.
Thank you. And now it is my honor to invite Councilmember Riggenbach, Councilmember for the 3rd District of the City of Peoria.
World War I, 1917 to 1919. World War II, 1941 to 1945. World War I, of course, was called the war to end all wars. It was called the big one. It affected much of our world. The fighting could have reached our shores if our elected officials had not decided to enter and keep it contained in Europe. It was started by a strong military force trying to rule the world, and it was finished by an even stronger military force dedicated to preserving freedom for all people. World War II, a war of liberation for people in Europe and Asia from dictatorship that envisioned complete control of all people all over the world. Unlike World War I, when armistice was signed to cease the fighting, World War II was ended and sealed with unconditional surrender. On behalf of the cities of our great city, it is a privilege and honor for me to escort the Gold Star family member, Leanne Anthony, a World War II Gold Star niece, and together we will place the wreath in memory of those from the Peoria area who gave their lives during these wars. May their souls rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilmember Riggenbach. And now I'd like to introduce Councilmember Velpula, at-large City Council member for the City of Peoria.
The Korean War from 1950 to 1955. For all of those from Peoria who gave their lives to show the world that a free society is better for all concerned as a way of life than to live under communism and military rule. It remains our hope and prayer that soon the entire country of Korea will be enjoying a newfound freedom to assemble, to worship as they please, and elect freedom-loving leaders, and thereby enjoy life to the fullest. On behalf of the citizens of our great city, it is a privilege and a high honor for me to place this wreath in memory of those from the Peoria area who gave their lives during this war. May their souls rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilmember Belgula. Next up, I would like to introduce Councilmember Dennis Sear of the 5th District of the City of Peoria.
Thank you. Vietnam War, 1964 to 1975. In memory of those Americans who gave their lives so that more people in other parts of the world could enjoy more freedom than possible under communism forced rule to live by. On behalf of the citizens of our great city, it is a privilege and an honor for me to place this wreath in memory of those from Peoria area who gave their lives during this war. May their souls rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilmember Sear. Councilmember Allen, who represents the 4th District of the City of Peoria. Please join at the microphone.
The war on terrorism. This war is different than any we have been involved in before. It is different for our government, and it's different for our military planners and our fighting men and women. It is also very different for every one of our citizens at home, and it will be different in the length of time we are involved. Two sad parts that really make it stand apart is the loss of life here at home and the property damage to our great country. We, as a great people, will endure all of these differences. We will face each other tomorrow. We will gain strength from each other, and we will carry the battle to our enemy no matter where he hides. I am proud to say that we are ready for tomorrow, the same as those other great soldiers throughout our history. It is a high honor and privilege to place this wreath as we remember those killed on September 11th, 2001 in New York City and at the Pentagon in Virginia, and yes, also who have been killed in Afghanistan and the Philippine Islands, and yes, probably other places around the world that we are not aware of at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Next, I'd like to invite up at-large City Council Member Euler to be able to do our next reading.
Police actions. Our country has been involved in police actions by our military forces in recent years. Grenada, Panama, Persian Gulf, Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia and Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Good soldiers have died in each of these conflicts. Yes, government says go, then we go, no matter what name is attached to it. That is as it should be, and we, as a nation, have accepted our role without too much complaining. Therefore, we are here today to remember one and all, and it is my sad duty, but it is my high honor and privilege to place this wreath in memory of those who have given and continue to give their lives in these police actions, relief efforts, conflicts, wars in all sense of the word, really. May their souls rest in peace. And I welcome Brenda Bland, Gold Star Mother.
Thank you, Councilmember Euler. Next up, I would like to invite Councilmember Denise Jackson of the 1st District of Peoria.
The war in Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan, also known as the Afghan Civil War, began on October 7th, 2001, as the U.S. military's operation Enduring Freedom that was launched along with the British military in response to the September 11, 2001 attack on the U.S. The UK started in 2002, led its own military operation, Operation Herrick, as part of the same war in Afghanistan. The character of the war has evolved from a violent struggle against Al-Qaeda and its supporters to a complex counterinsurgency effort. On behalf of the citizens of our great city, it is a privilege and an honor for me to escort Carol Gooey, a Gold Star sister, and Julie Taylor, a Gold Star niece, and place this wreath in memory of those from the Peoria area who have given their lives in Afghanistan. May their souls rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilmember Jackson. And I'd like to invite up Councilmember Chuck Graham.
Today, we also are gathered to remember those who served our nation as heroes on a day that is not really noted on our calendars. This day, though, is remembered in the hearts and minds of hundreds of thousands of Americans. And we're remembering those who served our nation as prisoners of war, and those families of those who went to war and never returned, and their fate unknown. We commemorate the prisoners of war and those missing in action by remembering the sacrifices made by those brave Americans who were taken prisoners and then returned, and those that are still listed as missing in action. As we all know, uncertainty is an inescapable part of serving in our military. The turbulence associated with being involved in the military and defending this country puts enormous strains on our service people and their families. From World War I to the peacekeeping efforts in Bosnia and Somalia, more than 142,000 Americans have been held as prisoners of war. So today, we also pay tribute to the prisoners of war and those missing in action that returned. And then for all of those who did not return, we pay tribute to you and to all of the families and veterans who keep that basic principle of honor always for this country uppermost in the hearts of all of us. It's my honor and my privilege to place this wreath in remembrance.
Thank you, Councilman Greb. And I'd also like to recognize that we are a full council today, and up with us as well, we have Councilmember Jensen and Councilmember Kelly joining us as well. So as you can see, this ceremony means a lot to the full and complete City Council. Our guest speaker today is Corporal Bruce Brown. It is a great privilege and my pleasure to be able to introduce our speaker, a former member of the United States Marine Corps and also a former member of the Peoria City Council, who remains today as dedicated to making sure that the memory of each of those who served and who we've lost never gets forgotten. He's an extremely active member in our community and always sets the bar for us as new council members to make for sure that we never forget those sacrifices that have come before. We would like to give you the podium to give us your thoughts.
Thank you, Councilman. I have a reputation. I have an elevator speech, but most of the time I'm in a 75-story building. So I'm setting my timer here to start, and I kind of want to watch, just give me a moment, what I'm doing here. And, I want to tell you, I'm kind of taken up here a little bit emotionally. Come here today, the great Gateway building, magnificent Peoria Municipal Band, the voice of Central Illinois, Lee Wenger. And, you know, when Sid introduced me, I got elected to the Peoria City Council when I was 25 years old. Just got out of the Marine Corps. And now here am I in front of you in this great occasion, honored guests. And I'm reminded, I'm 74 years old now, I'm reminded of a film from Chinatown. I think a lot of you remember it, Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson. Politicians, whores, and ugly buildings all get respectable when they get old. Elected at 25, here I am before you now at 74, respectable at last. The difficulty, of course, is how shall I be at 75 if I should survive? When I was such a wonderful PITA on the Peoria City Council when I was only 25. I need to tell you at this time, I'm kind of struggling around for a little humor. If not for you, if for me. This is difficult here today. I don't have any notes. I think at this stage in my life, and you people come here today, thank you for remembering and honoring Memorial Day. The last thing that you want to hear is some 75-year-old guy reading from some things that happened, let's be poetic, a half a century ago, okay? So I'm kind of weaving and stitching this together as I go, and so that you know what's also floating in the air, I am a member of 22 VA, 22 veteran artists. This is the 22 veteran honor ring. Civilians say, oh, you have that on your index finger. Not quite. It's the trigger finger. 22 VA, a local group about 10 years old. Michael Reagan founded it. He's here somewhere. But 22 veteran artists, the 22 veterans nationally commit suicide every day. Double the civilian rate. So we have found through art, photography, sculpture, bicycle artworks on the Rock Island Greenway, which we dedicated Saturday. And by the way, Councilman Sid, Board Chairman Andrew Rand, Emily Cahill from Park District. I don't know if you're here, Emily. She was there. So we dedicated that bike work, and it's called Roy G. Biv. And some people here know who Roy is. It's an acronym for the colors of the spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. They emote colors. How blue is the sky? How high is the hope? But there's also indigo and violet, and those are the ones that 22 VA is about. So we did that Saturday, and I have to tell you, I closed it out with a, well, I'll get to it in a minute. You know, I'm a little uneasy because I don't feel I'm qualified to tell you about Memorial Day and what it means. The truth is, I got drafted. I was a Bradley student, photo editor of the Bradley Scout, kind of working heavily also in the Girl Scout movement. And I end up in the United States Marine Corps, and please notice my careful use of the words end up in the United States Marine Corps, because it's not over. And we'd been up for a couple of days. And people were running and yelling, and at one point, 20 or 30 of us went into a room, and there were some desks, and we sat down. And by the way, I'm kind of an innocent Midwest kid, Lincoln School, Von Steuben, Woodruff High School, Bradley University. And somebody came and said, all you mothers stand up. And I knew I wasn't a biological, and I didn't arrive in the morning mail. But you know, I didn't think I was one. But you know what? Everybody else stood up. And so did I. And I wasn't a mother when I stood up, but in the ensuing weeks and months and yet, yes, years, continue on yet today, I guess I am one. So my job in the Marine Corps was a photographer. I took photographs. Some of them were pictures. And I noticed, incidentally, the luck of being the seventh of 7 kids and my mother being the 7th as well. I had orders to go to Vietnam, but while the 707 was in the air, the orders were changed to send me to Okinawa, north of the battle space. And by the way, so you can appreciate events of 50 years ago, you were allowed to smoke on airplanes. Really. Really. And this was a chartered 707 with 120 Marines aboard. And I'm recalling we stopped in Hawaii to refuel and change the air. 16, 17-hour flight, and I'm recalling at any given moment of the 120, at least 70 of them were smoking. Okay? So 50 years ago, times change. So I get to Okinawa, and my job is Marine Corps Public Affairs, and take pictures and take pictures of training. And after some months, it started to wear on with me a little bit. That the pictures I took of our young Marines going into the battle space in Vietnam were all vertical. And the pictures that I would be assigned to take of them returning from the battle space were all horizontal. Okay? And I'm going to stop with that right there, because you start going down a road from which there is no return. And I've dealt with it for a couple of years, and Michael Reagan and some other people have helped me tremendously. I'm telling you this because I think that you need to know I'm going to be okay, but there are other casualties when we send young men and women off to war. So when we closed out that event Saturday and we dedicated Roy G. Biv, I did the benediction. Would you Brenda Bland, the mother of Marine Corps Lance Corporal Benjamin Desolates, I can always, I can't tell you about Memorial Day. I'm going to tell you one other experience that just came to me. I didn't make notes. It occurred on Memorial Day, 2007, 2008. I'm finishing up a program at Springdale Cemetery, and the people are leaving, and if you've been on Soldier Hill, it's a wonderful place. And as the people were leaving, a young man about 10 years old came running up to me and said, Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown, I asked my grandpa, but he said I should come down here and ask you. And as he was talking, I looked up, and Grandpa was walking across the uneven ground with a cane. He had a hat, Marine Corps, and I know the badges. He had the rank of a major. He had the battle badges of the Battle of Incheon and also the Chosen Marine Corps. And you need to be a Marine to understand what those two statements mean. But as he approached me, the young man said, my grandpa said I should ask you. And I looked at him and said, ask me what? Ask me what? And over to the side, the Marine detail was putting away the flags of the Marine Corps and the United States of America. I said, ask me what? Ask me what? And the father was getting closer. He says, I asked my grandpa, how come that Marine Corps flag is red and yellow? Now we're getting into it. It's not red and yellow. It's scarlet and gold. And the gold is symbolic of victory. And the scarlet is symbolic of the cost. All right? So Brenda is the mother of Benjamin, who was 21. killed in action. So when I closed the ceremony for Roy G. Biv, I took a poem and turned it into a little bit of a benediction. The poem was written by a gentleman by the name of Hubert Kripe from Astoria, Illinois. World War II veteran. His plane that he piloted, bomber with crew, was shot down over Germany. He was a prisoner of war in Luftstalag 1, 100 miles north of Berlin. And towards the middle of May 1945, when it became apparent the war was going in, he wrote a poem, 48 words. And I thought that I would recite it, deliver it, not recite it, deliver it to you today. I'll tell you quite honestly, I wasn't sure I could get through it by myself. And you Gold Star mothers, you know what I'm talking about. So, Bishop, the Baptists have what we call a variation. This is the Baptist version of the Vulcan mind meld. And I asked Brenda if she might stand here with me for a moment. Memorial Day is not about an old guy and some stories to tell or some experiences. It's about this right here. Hubert Kripe, Luftstalag 1, spring 1945. To all our fallen comrades whose life is snuffed in the futility of strife. Ah, you were so young. Now your children are unborn and their songs unsung. We who are yet alive salute your valor and commit to you your final resting place. God bless America. Semper Fi. Thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you, Bruce. Something hit me, though, while you were talking. And you said that you may not be the right person to speak here, or you didn't know why you were speaking here today. But I think that's the exact reason why you are speaking here today. Because you are an example of what this day is really about. If we go back to what General Logan wanted, it was that we remember, not on a day, but always. And your work continues each and every day, and it is an example for the rest of us on how we should live our lives and what we owe to each of those that have allowed us to be able to be here. And whether it's your work on such monuments as resurrecting the shaft, or your work on what you did Saturday. And it's interesting because there are those things that we know that you have touched, and there's a lot more things that you do behind the scenes that nobody else knows. But I'll make you a promise. The other part of what General Logan wanted was that it was for generations. And I know, without talking to you, that that is actually what your greatest hope is. And today, we had Sam Riggenbach, and we had Bobby Morris join us. And if you look in the crowd, there are young folks, young adults who are here today. And that is the continuation from one generation to the other. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being the example for us to continue. As a fitting benediction, we ask all of you in attendance today to please stand and join in the band and Mr. Wenger in singing God Bless America. Dr. Vroman?
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and lead her through the night with a light from above. Through the
Please direct your attention to our honor guard, and please help salute the honored dead of all wars and those killed by terrorist actions attacking our great country. Honor guard. Ladies and gentlemen, as we near the end of our program, we offer our thanks again to everyone making this program possible, starting with the Peoria Memorial Association. We now ask Carol Edwards to retire our ceremony with a bugle call. Bugle call. Okay, we're ready. Thank you. Have a good day.